I designed an entirely new Pokemon region. Here's how. To start, I was madly inspired by a YouTube channel that goes by the name of Pen Paladin. Maybe you've heard of him. Basically, he put out a video where he designed a whole Pokemon region in 1 hour. I watched that video and I was like, yeah, I want to do that. But boy, was I not prepared for how long this video was going to take to make. Also, I didn't want to set myself to a time limit because if I know one thing about myself, it's that time limits in gaming stress the shit out of me. And drawing is no exception. But before I take you through my journey of drawing an entirely new whole Pokemon region, I want to mention a few things first. Now, I started off doing what Pen Paladin did, drawing blobs of color and pretty random typings to give myself a basis for creating these fake Pokemon. However, even though I started out drawing using these blobs of color, I realized about a fourth of the way through that was too restricting for me personally. I like the creative flexibility of just creating based on random types that I give myself. So with that said, you'll later see in the video that I scrapped those blobs and even went back to redesign some of the fake Pokemon that I really didn't like that used the blobs. Secondly, although I am not putting a time limit on myself for this challenge, I wanted to stick to a very fast pace still. So these designs are far from perfect. Some of these are much stronger designs than others, and that becomes very clear in a challenge like this. I think on average I took no more than 5, maybe 6 minutes drawing any one design. Something else Pen Paladin did was he went back and fully designed Pokemon that he quickly drew and thought that looked cool or he just liked. I like that idea, so I'm gonna do the same. Lastly, I love Pokemon, but I haven't created nearly as many fake Pokemon as most people in the community might have. I can show on screen a few original designs I made when I was younger, but besides that, I haven't really even drawn too many creatures in general. I mostly draw humanoid characters, and at the end of the day, this whole challenge is just for fun anyway, so I wasn't trying to be too hard on myself. But with all that said, allow me to introduce you to the Valorose region. Starting out with the starters, you can immediately see how I clung to the blobs I made, relying on them too heavily for the designs. This will be an occurrence until I remove the blobs, but until then, this would be, in my opinion, the downfall of some of these early designs and the starters, let alone. I made a little grass snake that slowly evolves into a grass fairy tree. I think this is a cooler concept than I ended up drawing. But here we are. For the fire starter, my first thought was a little flame with arms that comes in contact to some psychic energy or something and then fuses with it when it evolves. And the water starter ended up looking a bit too much like that slime from the Dragon Quest games. Unintentionally, but this one also flies, I guess. Is that enough to get me sued for plagiarism? I don't know. From here though, my thought was to have a normal type that would then evolve into the generic bug, flying, and Pikachu clone of the region, while still keeping its normal typing. And it would evolve based on circumstances that I've not figured out. But nonetheless, this didn't really turn out looking too great, probably because of two reasons. I was relying on the blobs like I mentioned, but also I made the normal type they evolved from. It's just a pair of eyes. Yeah, my creative juices just were not flowing yet. I promise it gets better though. I actually kind of like the idea of a ground type wiener dog, and it gets a little weird when it evolves into ground poison type though. It just sweats profusely. Nevertheless, I fleshed this design out actually and made this. This little guy's existence is sweating and suffering. This next Pokemon was kind of along the lines of a pebble that controls a drill that's made of rock, but that's as far as the idea got, so that's just how the entire evolution line looks. I really like the electric poison typing. Yeah, I didn't really do that typing justice with the first design, so this is one of the Fakemon that I ended up going back and changing later. We'll get to that though. This concept is fairly simple. It's just a angry rain cloud, and its body turns upside down for some reason when it acquires the fairy typing. I feel like I cooked with this bug steel design. Get this, okay? It's a bar of metal, but it's also a bug. No, not specifically a cricket, just a bug in general. It evolves pretty much just to grow more arms. This one is a squash, I think, but I don't really know. This is another design that I went back and changed later because Who thought this was a good idea? Me, apparently. I made a fish that blows ice bubbles that can control them with its mind. I don't know how, but I stretched this across 2 evolutions. And not much changed stage to stage, if I'm being honest. This is a Brontosaurus of sorts, but it's evil. And its evolution gets a bit more snake-like and a bit more evil. Now, I'm not exactly sure of my thought process here. I changed this one later too. The next one is kind of cool. It's like a kiwi ghost with ghostly tendrils, and its last stage is holding a normal kiwi like it's about to be sacrificed. Maybe this has to do with its lore. You tell me in the comments what you think. By the way, you're more than welcome to come up with names, dex entries, stats, whatever else you want for any of these Fakemon. I'm kind of interested in what you think about them. Let me know in the comments. Anyway, this one is just an avocado bug thing. This is the long-awaited point where I ditched the color blobs for just purely going off of types I wrote out, and I go back to replace some designs I didn't really like. I get rid of the mask and the sport equipment for some giraffes that get more and more cloppers as it evolves. Cloppers as in big hooves, not to be confused with clopping. I replaced this thing with a scorpion creature. Scorpions are pretty cool. I made this ground type camel spider-like creature. Which I'll tell you what, I'm not scared of spiders unless they're camel spiders. My idea with these are that the leaf-looking butt that they have serves as a decoy leaf to bait other Pokemon who eat leaves to eat it, as the rest of the spider is burrowed underground, hence it being ground type. And then when another Pokemon tries eating the camel spider's Pokemon's butt, that's when it kind of whips out of the ground and attacks its prey. I replaced these little bolts of water. This ice and flying type is a flying snake, but with ice wings, and it's got an ice rattletail. This ghost and rock type is actually pretty cool, I think. I think it's a cool concept. It's like a porcupine, but its head is hard like Rampardos' head, I guess. And its body is ghostly, and it's got ghost-like equivalents of the porcupine spikes on its back. I fleshed this design out, and I ended up with this. Now, I don't know why, but I kind of like the quick sketch of it I made better. Also, I don't know what I would name this guy, but I feel like his name would be pretty epic. Let me know what you think. This next one is butterfly-like, but it has acid burn holes in its wings, and it's a pen. Despite the shapes of the wings looking semi-Swiss cheesy, I really like this one too, so I made this. I imagine this Pokemon would have a special move called Acid Rain or something. It could just be like a weather condition that powers up poison type moves. That would be cool. The idea for this water dark Fakemon is, imagine an otter. Its arms and legs are replaced with blades, and it's angry. Speaking of angry, this fire normal Fakemon is a mad rabbit in a trench coat of sorts. The next one is kind of silly. It's Ice Electric Squid that is very geometric and couldn't care less about what happens to it. So naturally, it evolves into a kite while still being a squid. I like the idea of a dragon type that evolves into different things depending on the evolution stone you use on it. But this design didn't really do the concept justice. It didn't turn out as epic as I thought it would. It's like a piranha dragon that more or less just grows wings of the type that it evolves into. It almost reminds me of Rotom, and I'm not totally sure why. Maybe it's their tiny bodies. I don't know. I guess I imagine it's a pretty physically small Pokemon. Next one is a crocodile with a ball and chain tail that it uses to fight. I've seen videos of like crocodiles and alligators using their tail to like swing around and hit someone. I thought that was cool if it was a ball and chain instead. At first with this type, I thought of like Latch from Lethal League because he's a cyborg crocodile. So that's probably why I opted to use a crocodile here too. This flying type I wasn't too thrilled about. It's just a jet. I took inspiration from Bombardier, I think, because I made its split evolution, its steel and flying type, just drop missiles, and its rock and flying counterpart drop stones. This next one kind of gives me rocking horse vibes, but it's basically a jolly steel horse type Pokemon with a bunch of bolts and screws holding sheets of metal together. This one, not the most creative, I'll be the first to admit it, but it's pretty much just like a rock candy on lightning bolts. This next one, not much better. Its first evolution is one of those magic trick rings that connect, and then when it evolves it turns into that impossible triangle, because why not? This one is a fairy type bottle of perfume, and of course it's Reckless Rhino brand perfume. I wonder what that smells like. This ghost type is a pig that has been captured, and it evolves into a ghostly pig that kind of embraces its captured state, I guess. This is probably the closest definition of Stockholm Syndrome if it was a Pokemon. This little fire and ice fella is based off of a lionfish, but the top half is fire and the bottom half is ice, so Todoroki if he was a fish. This pure grass type is just a big seed plant that evolves into a banana bearing seed plant. No one ever expects a banana. This next mon is a dead crow or raven or something, and it evolves into a chubby mob boss of a bird boy, basically. Say that 10 times fast. There's a little story behind this next one. It's a fairy bug that crawls into a can of Reckless Rhino liquid. Soda? Liquid sounds wrong. And essentially uses the can as a shell when it evolves. Don't litter, I guess. This next one, well, it kind of speaks for itself. These next two water types are chainsaw sharks, sawfish. I think they're called sawfish. Yeah, I guess they're a mix between that and a stingray, kinda. And they got little seaweed mustaches. Now that they're men, they can do anything. Staying on the aquatic creatures topic, these next three are basic sharks, but one has a cannon for an arm, the next one is a flower, I guess, and the last one just has legs. You know that statistic about the odds of being struck by lightning is far greater than that of being bitten by a shark? That fact would be fiction if these three Pokemon were running around rampant. Anyway, honestly, I forgot what I based this next Fakemon off of. Some sort of mole by the looks of it. But nevertheless, I like it. It's ugly. It's endearing. And it's potato-like, most importantly. With that said, I drew this one out. I would probably have this little hairball on my team, and I'm not exactly sure why. Also, one of my friends said that this reminds me of Flint Lockwood's dad from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, and honestly, yeah. This next one is a pseudo-legendary of the realm, and I definitely didn't want it to be a dragon type, so instead I made a wolf-esque creature that ends up evolving into part mummy, part wolf, part knife. And now on to the box legendaries. I wanted to create something large and low-key creepy for them. So I made these two. One is kind of like, has the body of circuitry with a large water spirit thing emerging from it. And the second is a pair of crossed legs with the same similar kind of like water spirit thing emerging from it. And there's also a third one that's horse-like. I decided to draw just one of these box legendaries out, and I came up with this. I don't know what the lore is for this region or for these legendaries specifically, but I feel like there's a lot of creative flexibility with the possible lore you could make for these guys. It has something to do with the aftermath of like a worldwide war or some kind of catastrophic event. We're almost done with the whole Valorose region now. After these three legendaries, I decided to have three more legendaries, not box legendaries, just legendary fellas. My thought while making these three is that there is a legendary set of armor, actually, that these legendaries are fighting over the possession of. Two of them are snail creatures, one with a helmet and one with gauntlets, and the third is a ghost of a snail that has body armor. No, not the drink. There's definitely lore to be had here too, so if you think of any crazy event that could transpire to make these three want all the rest of the armor that exists, let me know. After this, we've got a mythical fighting bug buddy. Low-key reminds me of the praying mantis from Kung Fu Panda. And one more mythical. It's pretty much just a wyvern from Terraria now that I'm looking at it. And that'll do it. That's my new Pokemon region called Valorose. I also counted up the total number of each type that there is in Valorose, and the total number of basic Stage 1 and Stage 2 Pokemon Valorose has, for a total of 102 designs. Overall, there were quite a few I wasn't the biggest fan of, but on the flip side, there were quite a few that were also pretty darn creative, I'd say. Even so, I did have a fun time with this whole experience, and that's what matters. So thank you, Pen Paladin, if you happen to watch this video. for the inspiration for this video. And thank you, my reckless rando, for watching this video through to the end. I really hope you got something out of it, maybe some creative sparks. But if not, I still want to wish you good luck in your journey through life, with all of its ups and downs, good designs and bad. And by the way, if you've been wondering where I've been, it's playing Stardew Valley. But besides that, I've been making some art of people with their Pokemon teams on an Insta I made. So if you like Pokemon, which you're watching this video to the end, so you must to some degree, right? But if you like Pokemon and / or art in general, I can link that Insta in the description. I've done enough yapping. So hit that subscribe button so I can see you in the next video. Goodbye.